Chosen one, the person who orchestrated years of confusion around your name just got exposed as the fraud they always were. And now everyone can see what you've known all along. Your work was never the problem, their jealousy was. You're about to witness the most satisfying cosmic reversal of your lifetime. You're building something beautiful. Your work is gaining recognition. People are starting to listen to what you have to say. Your influence is growing organically because your intentions are pure and your efforts are genuine. Then the whispers start. Stay away from them. There's something off about that person. I heard they're difficult to work with. They don't respect authority. These weren't random observations. These were calculated seeds planted in strategic conversations by someone who understood the power of reputation warfare. They knew that if they could just create enough doubt, enough confusion around your character, they could slow down or stop your momentum entirely. They positioned themselves as the concerned authority figure, the wise elder, the protective leader who was just looking out for everyone's best interests. They painted themselves as the victim of your supposed difficult nature, while simultaneously poisoning every potential relationship or opportunity that came your way. They would share stories that contained just enough truth to seem credible while twisting the context completely. Maybe you had questioned a decision they made. This became, they don't respect leadership. Maybe you had stood firm on a principle. This became, they're inflexible and hard to work with. Maybe you had succeeded where they had failed. This became, they're arrogant and think they're better than everyone else. What made this campaign particularly devastating was how it attacked your sense of reality. You knew who you were. You knew your heart, your intentions, your values. You knew the quality of your relationships with people who actually spent time with you. You knew your work ethic, your integrity, your genuine desire to help others and create meaningful change in the world. Yet everywhere you turned, you encountered a version of yourself that you didn't recognize. People were responding to you as if you were someone completely different from who you knew yourself to be. They were treating you with suspicion, distance, and sometimes outright hostility, all based on information you knew wasn't accurate. This created a form of psychological torture that few people understand unless they've experienced it themselves. You began questioning everything. Maybe you were blind to your own flaws. Maybe you really were as difficult as people seem to think. Maybe your perception of your own character was completely wrong. You refused to play their game. When they expected you to bow down to their authority without question, you asked reasonable questions. When they wanted you to compromise your values for their convenience, you held your ground. When they needed you to stay small so they could feel big, you continued growing anyway. They labeled this as being difficult or not a team player. They painted your integrity as stubbornness, your authenticity as problematic behavior, and your leadership potential as threatening insubordination. Your crime wasn't actually any character flaw or behavioral problem. Your crime was being yourself in an environment where authenticity threatened the established power structure. Your crime was having natural gifts that highlighted their limitations. Your crime was refusing to participate in systems and behaviors that violated your moral compass. They couldn't attack your actual character because your actual character was solid. So they created a fictional version of you and convinced others that this fiction was reality. They turned your strengths into weaknesses, your virtues into vices, and your authentic responses into evidence of problematic patterns. The people around you didn't know any better. They heard the warnings from someone they perceived as credible, someone in a position of power, someone who seemed to have everyone's best interests at heart. Of course, they were cautious. Of course, they kept their distance. They thought they were protecting themselves from someone who might cause problems. Meanwhile, you carried the weight of a reputation that didn't match who you actually were. You knew your heart. You knew your intentions. You knew the quality of your work and the sincerity of your efforts. The disconnect between how you saw yourself and how others seemed to perceive you created a kind of psychological whiplash that left you questioning everything. The people around you didn't know any better. They heard the warnings from someone they perceived as credible, someone in a position of power, someone who seemed to have everyone's best interests at heart. Of course, they were cautious. Of course, they kept their distance. They thought they were protecting themselves from someone who might cause problems. Meanwhile, you carried the weight of a reputation that didn't match who you actually were. You knew your heart. You knew your intentions. You knew the quality of your work and the sincerity of your efforts. The disconnect between how you saw yourself and how others seemed to perceive you created a kind of psychological whiplash that left you questioning everything. The people around you didn't know any better. They heard the warnings from someone they perceived as credible, someone in a position of power, someone who seemed to have everyone's best interests at heart. Of course, they were cautious. Of course, they kept their distance. They thought they were protecting themselves from someone who might cause problems. Meanwhile, you carried the weight of a reputation that didn't match who you actually were. You knew your heart. You knew your intentions. You knew the quality of your work and the sincerity of your efforts. The disconnect between how you saw yourself and how others seemed to perceive you created a kind of psychological whiplash that left you questioning everything. The people around you didn't know any better. They heard the warnings from someone they perceived as credible, someone in a position of power, someone who seemed to have everyone's best interests at heart. Of course, they were cautious. Of course, they kept their distance. They thought they were protecting themselves from someone who might cause problems. Meanwhile, you carried the weight of a reputation that didn't match who you actually were. You knew your heart. You knew your intentions. You knew the quality of your work and the sincerity of your efforts. The disconnect between how you saw yourself and how others seemed to perceive you created a kind of psychological whiplash that left you questioning everything. This disconnect was especially painful because you could sense that many people wanted to connect with you. There was often a moment in new relationships where you could feel the natural chemistry, the mutual interest, the potential for genuine friendship or collaboration. Then something would shift. They would pull back, become formal, create distance. You could feel them wrestling with conflicting information, what they sensed about you directly versus what they had been told about you. What your adversary didn't count on was the level of spiritual protection surrounding you. You see, chosen ones don't walk this path alone. You're backed by forces that operate beyond the reach of earthly manipulation. Your title isn't given by any human institution. It's assigned by something far more powerful and permanent. While they were busy trying to destroy your reputation through gossip and politics, your actual work was creating ripples in the spiritual realm. Every genuine effort you made, every person you helped, every moment you chose integrity over convenience, was building a foundation that no amount of slander could shake. Your spirit guides were working overtime during this period, connecting with the spirits of others around you. Even when people consciously believed the lies about you, something deeper in them recognized your authentic energy. This created an internal conflict in many of the people who had been turned against you. They couldn't quite reconcile what they'd been told with what they actually felt in your presence. This spiritual protection manifested in unexpected ways. Opportunities that should have been blocked somehow found their way to you through alternative channels. People who should have rejected you based on what they'd heard found themselves inexplicably drawn to give you a chance. Projects that should have failed because of the reputation damage somehow succeeded anyway. Your adversary probably noticed these anomalies and became increasingly frustrated. Their campaign should have been more effective. The damage should have been more complete. The isolation should have been more total. Instead, you kept surviving, kept growing, kept creating impact despite their best efforts to stop you. This is why some relationships survived when they shouldn't have, according to the manipulation playbook. This is why certain opportunities kept coming back around despite the campaign against you. This is why your work continued to resonate with people even when your reputation was under attack. Then something shifted. Maybe it was a conversation where the details didn't add up. Maybe it was a moment when someone witnessed your character firsthand and couldn't reconcile it with what they'd been told. Maybe it was simply the natural progression of time, revealing patterns and inconsistencies in the narrative they'd been fed. One by one, people started waking up to what had really been happening. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order, powered by Astral Atom. You didn't just survive your past, you were refined by it. Every betrayal, every psychic attack, every night you thought you wouldn't make it, that wasn't random. That was the forge. And now the blade is ready? Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we gather each week on live Zoom calls. And yes, they're recorded, so when you're down in the pit, you can still tap the signal. You'll meet divine warrior goddesses who walk with ancestral fire in their spines, masculine healers who carry prophecy in their silence, a former military drone operator who now moves matter with his thoughts, a seer from Utah who broke free of Mormonism to become a Gnostic, a psychic in Noosa who used to be a millionaire, CFO, a spiritual healer who clawed their way out of a satanic cult and now channels light like a weapon. These aren't stories, they're your future reflections. If you've ever felt like you were meant for something more, it's because you are. The field is open, the war is real, the circle is waiting. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. Thank you all for supporting the broadcast. We quite literally could not do this without you. The first breakthrough often came from someone who worked closely with you and couldn't ignore the gap between your actual behavior and your alleged reputation. They started asking questions. How could someone with such a consistent character have such a problematic reputation? How could someone who was so reliable and ethical in their direct experience be the same person everyone was warning them about? These questions led to conversations. The conversations led to comparisons of experiences. The comparisons revealed inconsistencies in the stories that had been spread about you. People began to realize that many of the first-hand accounts of your difficult behavior were actually second-hand or third-hand information that had been passed along as personal experience. The person who had seemed so concerned about your behavior started showing their true colors in other situations. Their mask began slipping, revealing the very qualities they had falsely attributed to you. Their need to control became obvious. Their manipulation tactics became transparent. Their lack of genuine care for others became undeniable. Meanwhile, your consistency remained unchanged. Your character stayed solid. Your work continued to speak for itself, growing stronger and more impactful with each passing day. The contrast became impossible to ignore. People began to realize they had been played. The anger that followed this realization was intense and justified. They had been used as weapons in someone else's personal vendetta. They had been manipulated into treating an innocent person with suspicion and hostility. They had been robbed of potentially valuable relationships and collaborations based on lies. The most beautiful part of your story is watching the complete reversal that followed this awakening. Those who had distanced themselves started reaching out with apologies. Those who had believed the lies started asking questions about what had really happened. Those who had been used as weapons in the campaign against you started recognizing their own manipulation and feeling appropriately outraged about it. The apologies came in waves. Some people were embarrassed and sheepish, realizing they had made judgments based on insufficient information. Others were angry at themselves for being so easily manipulated. Still others were furious at the person who had deceived them and wanted to make amends by supporting you even more enthusiastically than they might have originally. Your former adversary found themselves in an increasingly isolated position. The very tactics they had used against you were now being turned back on them, not through any effort on your part, but through the natural consequences of their own actions being fully revealed. People started comparing notes about their experiences with this person. They began recognizing patterns of manipulation that extended far beyond their campaign against you. They realized that if this person was willing to lie so extensively about you, what else might they be lying about? What other relationships had they poisoned? What other opportunities had they blocked? What other damage had they done through their need to control and manipulate? The system they had used to try to destroy you became the same system that exposed their true nature. The authority they had claimed to protect became the very thing that questioned their behavior. The people they had convinced to turn against you became the same people demanding answers about why they had been misled. This is cosmic justice in action. This is what happens when someone tries to use manipulation and lies against a chosen one. Eventually, the truth rises to the surface, and when it does, it brings everything into perfect clarity. The reversal wasn't just about your reputation being restored, it was about the entire power dynamic being exposed and restructured. People began to understand how authority can be abused, how manipulation operates in professional and personal settings, and how to recognize the difference between genuine leadership and toxic control. Throughout this entire ordeal, you kept working. You kept creating, you kept serving others and building something meaningful, even when it felt like you were doing it in isolation. That consistency is everything. While they were focused on tearing you down through gossip and politics, you were focused on building something real. While they were investing energy in destruction, you were investing energy in creation. While they were trying to manipulate perception, you were simply being yourself and letting your work demonstrate your character. Your work became your defense. Attorney, your character witness, and your vindication all rolled into one. The projects you completed during this difficult period often turned out to be some of your best work. The pressure and isolation forced you to rely entirely on your own vision and abilities. You couldn't depend on external validation or support, so you had to find your motivation from deeper sources. This often led to more authentic, more powerful, more impactful creations. People can argue with words, but they can't argue with results. They can question motives, but they can't deny impact. They can spread rumors about your personality, but they can't diminish the quality of what you create or the genuine help you provide to others. Every project you completed, every person you served, every moment you chose excellence over mediocrity was building a case for your character that no amount of slander could tear down. Your reputation wasn't destroyed, it was just temporarily obscured by a fog of manufactured confusion. The people who experienced your work directly during this period became some of your strongest advocates. They had seen your character under pressure. They had witnessed your professionalism despite personal attacks. They had benefited from your service even when you weren't receiving recognition for it. Their testimonials carried extra weight because they were based on experience during adversity, not just during good times. Your story is happening during a time when humanity is evolving beyond surface-level manipulation. People are becoming more spiritually aware, more emotionally intelligent, and more capable of sensing authentic energy versus manufactured personas. The old tactics of control through misinformation and reputation warfare are becoming less effective because people are learning to trust their inner knowing over external narratives. This shift in collective consciousness is working in your favor. The same awakening that's helping people see through larger systemic deceptions is also helping them see through the smaller, more personal deceptions that were used against you. People are starting to understand that those who truly have power and authority don't need to tear others down to maintain their position. They're recognizing that genuine leaders build others up, while false leaders build themselves up by pushing others down. Your adversaries' behavior patterns are becoming more obvious as people develop better discernment. The way they operate, the subtle manipulation, the reputation warfare, the abuse of authority is being recognized for what it really is. This collective awakening means that the type of campaign that was used against you is becoming less and less effective. People are developing immunity to these manipulation tactics. They're learning to ask better questions, seek multiple perspectives, and trust their own direct experience over second-hand information. Your experience is part of a larger pattern of truth-telling and system-revealing that's happening across all levels of society. You're not just experiencing personal vindication, you're participating in a collective shift toward greater authenticity and transparency. Watching your name be cleared isn't just satisfying, it's educational. You're witnessing firsthand how truth eventually surfaces, how authentic character eventually speaks louder than false narratives, and how spiritual protection operates in the physical world. You're learning that your value doesn't depend on other people's recognition or approval, even though their recognition feels good when it finally comes. The vindication process often happens in stages. First comes the questioning, people starting to wonder if what they heard was accurate. Then comes the investigation, people seeking out direct experience or multiple perspectives. Then comes the realization, people understanding they were deceived. Finally comes the correction, people actively working to repair the damage and restore your reputation. Each stage brings its own lessons and healing. The questioning stage teaches you that truth has its own power and will eventually surface. The investigation stage shows you that authentic relationships are based on direct experience, not external opinions. The realization stage demonstrates how spiritual protection works to ensure justice. The correction stage reveals how much support and love was always available to you, just temporarily blocked by manufactured confusion. More importantly, you're discovering the strength of your own foundation. The fact that you survived this period of isolation and continued building something meaningful proves that your motivation comes from within, not from external validation. That's the mark of authentic leadership. The people who are coming back into your life with apologies and support aren't just acknowledging their mistake. They're demonstrating that they've learned to recognize authentic character when they see it. This means the relationships you rebuild will be stronger and more discerning than what you had before. Some relationships won't be restored, and that's actually a gift. The people who refuse to acknowledge the truth, even when it's clearly presented, are revealing their own character, limitations. They're showing you that they value their ego more than justice, their comfort more than truth, their relationship with authority more than their relationship with integrity. Their attempt to diminish your influence actually expanded it. By forcing you to rely on the spiritual realm for support, you developed a deeper connection to your own power source. By making you prove your character through consistency rather than politics, you built an unshakable foundation for your work. By isolating you from their circle of influence, they freed you to build something bigger and more authentic. The confusion they created around your name has been completely cleared, but not just cleared, replaced with something stronger. Your reputation now includes the story of how you handled adversity with grace, how you maintained your integrity under pressure, and how you continued serving others even when you weren't receiving recognition for it. People love a comeback story, but they love a never-gave-up story even more. Your character has been tested and proven in public view. That's worth more than any recommendation letter or endorsement you could have received through normal channels. Your influence now extends beyond just your work into the realm of inspiration and hope. People who are facing their own challenges with manipulation and character assassination look to your story as proof that truth eventually wins. You've become a symbol of what's possible when someone maintains their integrity despite overwhelming pressure to compromise. The network you're building now is based on authentic appreciation for your character and work, not on proximity to power or social convenience. These relationships are deeper, more loyal, and more aligned with your actual purpose and values. The most powerful part of this entire experience is watching the natural consequences play out for everyone involved. Your adversary is now dealing with the results of their own choices. The reputation they tried to destroy in you is now being questioned in them. The confusion they created is now surrounding their own name. The isolation they tried to force on you is now their own experience. This isn't revenge. This is simply cause and effect operating on a spiritual level. When someone uses deception and manipulation against a chosen one, they create karmic debt that eventually comes due. The universe has a way of balancing these scales without any effort on your part. The karmic justice is often poetic in its precision. They used lies to attack your truth. Now their own lies are being exposed. They used authority to abuse power. Now their authority is being questioned. They used manipulation to control relationships. Now they're experiencing the isolation that comes from being recognized as manipulative. Meanwhile, you're experiencing the positive karma of maintaining your integrity under pressure. The energy you put into authentic work and genuine service is coming back to you multiplied. The protection you provided for others during your own difficult time is now being reflected back as protection for yourself. The people who supported you during the difficult time are now being rewarded with deeper relationships and greater access to your gifts and energy. The people who participated in the campaign against you are having to face the consequences of their choices and the damage they caused. The people who stayed neutral are learning important lessons about the cost of silence in the face of injustice. You no longer need to wonder if people really know who you are. You no longer need to worry about defending your character or proving your worth. You no longer need to navigate the confusion and doubt that was artificially created around your name. Your authentic self has been revealed and verified through the most rigorous testing possible, surviving a coordinated campaign of character assassination while maintaining your integrity and continuing to create meaningful work. The people in your life now are there because they recognize and appreciate your genuine character. The opportunities coming your way are aligned with your authentic gifts and purpose. The work you're building is on a foundation that can't be shaken by gossip, politics, or manipulation. You've graduated from needing external validation to create value. You've learned to trust your inner knowing over social consensus. You've discovered that your spiritual backing is more powerful than any earthly authority figure. This experience has also given you a unique set of skills and insights that enhance your ability to serve others. You can now recognize manipulation tactics that you might have missed before. You can help others who are experiencing similar attacks on their character. You can speak with authority about the importance of integrity because you've proven your commitment to it under the most challenging circumstances. Your story becomes a source of hope and instruction for other chosen ones who may be facing similar challenges. You become a living example of what's possible when someone refuses to compromise their authentic self, even under intense pressure. This is what it means to step fully into your role as a chosen one. This is what it looks like when you operate from authentic power rather than borrowed authority. This is your story of awakening to your true identity and claiming your rightful place in the world. The confusion is over. Your work speaks for itself. The liar has been exposed. Your name is clear, your purpose is evident, and your path forward is illuminated by the truth that always was, even when it was temporarily hidden. You are exactly who you've always known yourself to be, and now everyone else knows it too. The journey through the valley of character assassination has led you to a mountain of authentic influence that can never be taken away, because it's built on truth, maintained by integrity, and protected by forces beyond the reach of earthly manipulation. Your story is complete, but your mission is just beginning.